Governor, thank you. And Madam President, thank you for getting us off to a start in thinking about this critical issue. Now, a study by Proofpoint, that's a computer security company, found that 90%, 9 out of 10, of security breaches in companies occur through employee errors. Usually, an employee clicking on a link that they should have ignored. And I think if we're going to really make headway in this area of cybersecurity, it's going to take a massive public education effort. Now, I remember as a child, growing up in the early years of the Cold War, just how much the nation tried to educate its public about the nuclear threat. I was in Boy Scouts, and we were handed this little booklet. It was a plane spotter booklet, and had silhouettes of Soviet bombers and American bombers so that us who were 10 years old could distinguish between the two. Now, I was out in the middle of Minnesota, and I think if a Soviet bomber came in low enough for me to identify it and got that far undetected, we were probably in deep trouble. But in school, you know, we had to get under the desk periodically. That was our protection if there should be a nuclear attack. So we went through those drills. And the newspapers were filled with stories about the nature of the threat and what the public could and should do about it. We did have one farmer in my small town, outside my small town. He was either the most paranoid of our farmers or the richest. He did build a bomb shelter. The rest of them, I think, thought that their storm cellars would protect them. But that gives you a little bit of a sense of kind of how the public was brought into the issue. And I think we need to make somewhat of the same kind of effort around cybersecurity. Nuclear war would have been catastrophic, but it was probably always a fairly low probability event. Cybersecurity, less catastrophic, although what Llewellyn just described would certainly be enormously disruptive and costly, but it has a much higher probability. And if we worried about Dr. Strangelove during the nuclear era getting out of control, there are a lot of Dr. Strangeloves out there in the nuclear or in the cyberspace, and a lot of unwitting ordinary citizens who can give them a pathway for their destruction. So what's being done in this area in terms of trying to bring the public into the issue? Well, not much in my view. I did try to do a search of the news coverage of this issue, and there's certainly quite a bit, but not very much on the front page. And most of the coverage is frankly episodic. So it goes into the particular event, these 15 million people affected by this particular breach, goes into the particulars of the event, but rarely ever talks about the larger issue and the threat that cybersecurity generally poses. We don't have much evidence on what the public schools are doing, but I suspect that's a pretty low priority given the other things that are happening in our public schools. And when they're teaching computer literacy, I suspect they speak more about the dangers of going to adult sites than getting careless with their computers. And then if we think about the fact that I pointed out at the beginning that 90% of the breaches in companies are occurring through employee error, the education process in our firms is certainly not adequate to the threat. And my sense is that in fact the public doesn't know what to do but ignores it. I think they don't know what to do. I think if we did a poll of the American public, I would think that the level of cyber literacy in this country is alarmingly low. So I think the technical aspect of this issue is important. Advances in technology, we need those badly. But if we think we can do this without bringing the public along and the kind of support and kind of protection they can provide, I think we end up kidding ourselves. Thank you.